All right, what's going on, everyone? This is Uche and Njoku. I'm here with. Who am I here with? Audio's off, man. Not. What happened? We're having technical difficulties here, but that's normal, especially when you go live. So right now, I'm being told that somehow, some way, I have. Nah, bro, you're not muted on my end. Can you hear me? I can't hear you at all. Let me see. Yeah, right now it's telling me on your end there's no audio coming from you. Ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. This is you want to jump off and jump back on? It might reset it. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, if you followed me for the past couple of years, these things happen all the time. But again, good evening, good evening, good evening. My partner is about to jump back on shortly. He just had to jump off. There's some technical issues with the audio. But nonetheless, it is Wednesday evening. And here he is ringing in to come back into the call. And let's see here.
Yep, I'm fresh out of jail, out on bail, California. Screaming, hey.
What's good? This is Uche and Njoku. I'm here with my partner.
AT, Archie, Tyson in the house, man. What's going on this evening?
And we are the Ivy League Hood Rats. Yeah, you know what? The heavens knew, protecting us because there's forces out there trying to stop us from speaking what we need to speak on this evening. But nonetheless, we're here this evening. I hope you've all had a good week and meeting us here at midweek. And I hope that you also have a very productive rest of your week. But right now, for the next hour, we're going to engage you in conversation. And I think listen. If you heard us last week, this is an ongoing conversation, and I don't even know where to start. So I'm just going to say, my brother Archie, talk to us.
I mean, y'all saw the video.
I saw the video.
What did you see?
As someone who's been pulled over many a times, and I've been pulled over many a times, and I would say about half of those times I've had guns pulled on me, and so I do understand the energy that I saw, but I've seen it either as I've experienced it as being a passenger in the car, and I've also experienced it watching people go through that. But what persisted beyond that is what threw me off, And when he ran, I would have ran too, because it wasn't just a, hey, we're coming for you for a particular reason. It was like, wait a minute, what did he do again? Because I'm thinking I've stood on the street and seen somebody pulled over and they bum rushed that dude and he was carrying keys in his trunk, so they knew who they were going after. But in this case, I was kind of like, okay, what did he do? But what makes it worse is when you couple it with the report from the police chief that says there was no justifiable reason for him to be pulled over to begin with. So coupling that with what I saw and him running, I was like, I would have ran too. Then when you find out where he was running to was literally blocks away from his mama's house. So I'll tell you this, for me personally, what I saw was something that terrified me. I won't lie. I was shook. Because I was like, whoa. Because what would I do in that situation?
Yes, this is that Ivy League side of Brother Njoku.
Okay.
Let's go right now. Right?
Let me add one more thing. Then the part then what I saw, and I'll be honest with you, I'm still having a hard time because what I really want to say is it's more of a barbershop conversation. You know, those conversations that we have behind closed doors when it's just us. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, it's not just us, even though
Yeah.
it is just us. And the part of it that in my head that I still have not been able, I'll be honest with you, I still have not been able to speak to anybody about this is the, yeah, he was getting beat. But the part that really threw me off was the part where he got picked off the ground standing.
Mm-hmm.
And he got hit so hard that his body ragdolled. And the craziest thing, he was taller than them. This wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
little dude, so you're like, I can't see what's going on. You saw him body fling, and I just thought to myself like, I don't know, because I think we talked about this before. There's a certain level of rage in all of us that the Ivy League part of me and the sensible, like I need to make sure I'm providing for my family, gets locked up and packaged and put to the side. But that, I don't know, man.
Let me see if I can try and fuse and mix my hybrid self. Let me see if I can stay more on the Ivy side of things while trying to explain it from the hood viewpoint. So, what I saw, well, first, what I saw wasn't anything that's unique. See, they were selling this thing like it was a Netflix special on CNN and Fox and all these. Like there was going to be something that was uh, that separated what I was about to see from the realities of coming up in a place like Memphis in certain neighborhoods, right?
Facts, facts.
Um, I was reminded by a friend that we used to joke that the smart cops stuck to the body and avoided the head. That's how frequently our fathers, uncles, cousins, OGs, friends, classmates, teammates were abused by agents of the state. Pick your agency, right? That we knew as children, preteens, right? I know it's for some folks it's difficult to imagine a black boyhood, and we talked about that and kind of the work that Dr. Derek Nelson does around reimagining black boyhood and how some people see black childhood and black boyhood in particular as unimagined and unimaginable, right? But, but we literally used to joke that the smart cops went to the body because they know that they didn't want pictures of somebody with a pumpkin head. And for folks who don't know what a pumpkin head is, that's when somebody does a violation in the hood and they get beat upside the head. Not beat till they die, but they get beat upside the head swell up like a pumpkin, right? So the cops knew not to do that,
Because with body
right?
shots, you can explain that he fell, or
Or you're just less likely to die.
yeah,
You're less likely to with the body organ swelling have somewhere to go. People forget with your head, your brain, and that starts to swell. That requires you to remove a piece of your skull, right, to relieve pressure. So there's nowhere for it to swell. So smart cops knew to stick to the body, right? We used to joke about that. The question is, how do we know what like we literally made a scientific observation based off of observing many cases of abuses that we knew that, hey, They ain't gonna beat you upside the head. Why? Because that might turn into something. So I didn't see anything that was so far out there from the reality of what if you came up in a neighborhood like I came up in, and they're all over the country. You know what it is, man. You know guys that don't got tied up by the police, beat down by the police, stomp a mud hole in, beat you like a pinga. It's all type of statements in rap songs and all that stuff that describe it, right? So the problem was he died. Because if he didn't die, if Brother Nichols didn't die, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He got tied up. Oh, it might be a lawsuit, but it'll get swept under the rug, and they wouldn't get fired. They'll still be on the force. It'll go on. And if you notice, the white officer who hadn't been charged said, "I hope they stomp him."
Yeah.
That's the culture. I mean, literally, that's the culture. So, to the point where children probably to this day know that more likely, yeah, you're gonna get messed up, but like they ain't gonna beat you upside the head because they can create some issues,
They're not trying to
right?
kill you.
Right. So the problem was tons of problems, but I'm just going with a crazy hood pitch. Is you start kicking his head like it was a kickball game. You stood him up and had two grown burly officers hold him while you were throwing just straight winded back haymakers right to the head. I don't know if the baton clipped him in the head at all or not, but I'm saying like he died. If he hadn't have passed away, if he wasn't murdered, like they would have swept this under the rug and it'd been business as usual. So what type of America? And I kind of wrote about this. I hadn't even released it to that folks at the workout because I just had difficulty just starting to sit down and write because I really didn't, and I love to write. I just didn't know what to write about, right? Because people don't want to believe this is America, right? Like my wife knows, and this is what you say the Ivy League hood rat goes. She knows when she hears John Coltrane's Alabama. For you all that don't know, just YouTube it. Beautiful song. But if you're teaching, and this is for my educators, if you're teaching, you want to know how to fuse music and history and language together. If you're teaching mood, tone, right? John Coltrane's Alabama will allow you to be able to bridge that music gap because he wrote it right after those four little girls were discovered, after the church was bombed in Birmingham. Forget the years that I come to, but he wrote that after that bombing, and it's a song that really helps you understand the mood of what he was feeling, right? So she knows when she hears that, like when I got Coltrane Alabama on, it's just like I'm kind of confused and I don't know what to write, but and mostly it was just trying to explain to people that, believe it or not, that's America. It's business as usual. And it's no disrespect to all of the fine art. And I know tons of fine officers and fine black police officers and brown police officers. And when I say fine, I mean the latest too. Hey, uh, physical attributes as well as what they're doing in the hood. But uh, it's it there is an element of policing that goes beyond race. It kind of goes back to the movie Life when we talked about the gun line, boss.
Gun line.
Hopping
Yeah.
Bob got the gun line, boss. And Hopping Bob will shoot you. Who shot in Life? Who shot who was it? Bernie Mac? No, that wasn't Bernie Mac that ran off. It was forget the other guy that ran off, Bernie Mac boyfriend, whatever it is. When he ran off past the gun line, it wasn't the white officer that shot. It was the black inmate, privileged inmate that had been given a gun and Same scenario here, right? It's a culture of how you treat us. And I'm sorry to put it out there in space, but those type of beat downs happen off camera, have been happening on and off camera since as far back as I can remember. And it's sickening, yes, but to a certain extent, I thought I was gonna see something that they took the tasers out and just was tasing them in the face or something. I thought they were bilking the video like it was gonna be something that I hadn't seen, heard, or anything before. Unfortunately, and this sounds terrible, that's kind of normal, and that's scary. I kind of whispered that. I probably shouldn't have, right? It's kind of normal, right? It's not normal that the brother dies, but that type of beating. I mean, you know, Memphis has a littered history of it, and I'm sorry I'm ranting a little longer, but this is Ida B. Wells kicked off her anti-lynching campaigns because of lynching of a black boy. And we're not talking about 50, 60-year-old men with boys, men. Like, this is nothing new in a place like Memphis, and is not unique to Memphis. Literally, I could just stop my dissertation now and just start collecting stories from educated black men and boys, real life hood boogers. I'm talking about go find dudes with 14 bodies under their belt that's locked up, ones that ain't. Regular old cats working in the cafeteria, dudes that are CEOs, cats that rap, people that are anthropologists, professors. And I get the stories that just the stories me and you could put out there about what our eyes have seen, what our bodies have experienced. It speaks to a culture where this is really normal, especially if the victim doesn't die.
You just gave me okay. So I have some questions. Okay, so I'm gonna. You said some very interesting things. Number one, and you're right about this. And I didn't think about that, but it's very true. You know that you said about the body shots. You know,
Yeah.
and the fun thing about the body shots, it's not just a cops in the street thing. It's a prison thing as well.
Yeah.
But the batons are meant to hit your body, not your head.
Yeah.
Even the way you're taught to swing it is meant for the torso, because it will do damage, but the likelihood of it killing you is very, very slim. And if we know this, and this is part of the understanding and hood education, that means that those who were doing it know it as well. So you have here where that was thrown out the window. It was like, okay, so, and we saw that. Number two, like you said, this is not unusual, and is and it happens more often than we know, and due to cameras, we are seeing it more often. One of the things that the question I do have right now, and what do you think about this? Because this is my wondering. Because my thing is, these are all police officers. They're not rookie cops. These are all
Are they?
police officers.
No. I didn't see
I don't.
police officers. What did you see?
Um.
What I saw, and I'm gonna tell it from a Memphis perspective. This
Okay.
might go different from LA, right? Because we ain't got as many Bloods and Crips, even though we got them in Memphis. It's like every street gang on the planet got flushed down the toilet and found their way to Memphis. But what I saw was GD that messed up, that was in LMG territory before they tore down them projects, right? And some LMG cats from the projects caught up with him. He tried to take off running. He fighting for his life because he know they about to do some damage, right? They caught up with him, and they went into him, right? Because they don't care nothing about your life. You messed up. You offended their whole gang. You offended their whole projects. When you get stood up and held, like what I saw was some mobsters, literally after a dude stole from a Vegas casino back in the day. I don't want to say back in the day because it didn't happen today, but I'm saying like that's what I saw. When you say I'm a baton out of somebody, and you pull it out, and they're holding you up, and you getting beat like that, bruh, that's not police. That's some gang stuff.
So check this out.
Afterwards, did you hear him talking though?
Yeah.
Did you hear him talking? Did they sound like the police?
To me, they did.
My wife, no, I'm saying my wife didn't even understand what they was saying. They was so, hey man, what you talking about? Man, that man over there, man, he must be cartron, man. You know what I'm talking about? Dog? Like because she from the Bronx, right? She was like, yo, the only reason I kind of know what they saying is because I was down in Memphis. It's like that movie that we watched that time. You was like, how did you know this accent? Like, I didn't see police. I didn't see a lick of professionalism, man. I saw some dudes from the street who caught up with a cat who did something to somebody's sister, wife, brother, a kid, and they caught up with you, and you caught a pumpkin head. That's what I saw. Now I can switch back to being Ivy League, but I'm calling it exactly how I saw it. I didn't see police. They may have had badges on the uniform. I ain't no police.
So I'll remind you, and I'll just share with everybody here that I came up in Los Angeles in the 80s and 90s, and I've seen, and again, what we called them was police. You know, and we share some of the same friends who are police officers, and they're good police. You know, and it's almost sad to say, growing up, I knew some good police, but they were the minority. Yeah. From my personal experience, it might have been more good police than bad police, but it was police and good police. That's my experience in LA. And
I didn't see it.
And I'll tell you this: I saw police. As sadly enough as my brain has been groomed to process it, there was a gang in LA called the Linwood Vikings. Okay, Linwood, California was a couple of hoods away from where I grew up in Inglewood. The Linwood Vikings were, I had to look it up, you know, just to make sure I had my definitions correct. This is Wikipedia. The Linwood Vikings is one of the many deputy gangs of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. They actually organized themselves, gave themselves their own patches, and they were seen. And this was a big case, and there were several of them. They were neo-Nazi and all this. I mean, it was crazy. And these were the officers supposed to be serving and protecting us, but we saw them as a threat. Not because we were scared of police, because we knew what they were. So when I see this, the only difference here, I had never seen growing up, a black police gang. You know, even though, you know, I did see the Death Row documentary, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, they're out there. Them cats, man, are straight police.
But where I was, gangbangers. But where I came up, the ones that I saw those officers who sometimes when they moved them short sleeves, the little swastika popped up at the bottom. I'm like, you know, I've seen them. So when I saw this, the only thing that's different here for me, it was outside of my experience, it was the color of their skin. But in doing that collectively, I'd never seen that collectively like that before. But I have seen, and I shared with you last week, I've had my experiences. The first time I've ever had a gun pulled out on me by a police officer, it was a black police officer. So, so it's weird because now I'm starting to question my sanity because I'm like, damn, like what is what? Because again, for me, when I say police, the first thing I'm thinking is a threat. When then if then I do know some good police, but in my mind they are the minority. And I'm sorry, and I'm not even gonna apologize for that. That's my reality. That's
Say
my
it's not
reality.
apology because your reality, your perception is reality, and I mean that's reality. And I think someone wrote in the comments that policing started off as slave
Slave
patrols
catchers.
and slave
Yeah.
catchers. Yeah, I mean it's well documented. First kind of uh, police and not just constables were slave patrols, right? And it evolved from there. It was about population control, controlling slaves and free blacks and other folks that were deemed undesirable. In the same way, and Canada don't get off the hook. The Mounties there, the Royal Mounted Police, were
Border
originated
patrol.
for not border patrol, tamping down and controlling indigenous people in Canada, right? So policing itself, yes, it has roots, and I'm not. And don't get me wrong, now I'm not a disband the police and all that stuff like that. That's not where I'm located. But you know, uh, yeah, you think twice if you know that you're gonna lose your pension. You think twice if you have some, if you know that you're gonna be charged if you murder someone, right? When you got guys that, in the same way, like I don't know if you're familiar with the Gun Trace Task Force case in Baltimore and all that, which was said to be the most crooked police unit in the country. Crazy scandal. They had a whole HBO special on it. If you hadn't checked it out, check it out. But when you got police that feel like they can just, it's their city, I can roam and do whatever I want to do to whomever I want to do, especially if they're black. That just goes all the way back to the founding of American policing, which says that you can do whatever you want to whoever you want to, especially if they're black, right? I can assist the folks with lynching mobs. Um, I can take out personal vendettas, right? So, yes, there are rumors floating around that, this could be about something else. I said to Brother Njoku here, where I'm from, I don't speak on what I don't know. But what I will say is, I wouldn't be surprised if, there's some other connection to that because, beating somebody down like that, oh, it's normally, it ain't just because I got the wrong person. It ain't just because it's, this is gonna sound crazy to some people. You ran from me beat down, don't look like that.
Yeah.
If you from the hood,
No.
you know what you made me run, be like, police like, oh, you made me run, I had to chase you. Yeah, you're gonna get tied up. Everybody in the hood know this. You're gonna get tied up, right? But that ain't what I saw. I saw again gang members attacking a rival gang member that had done some great offense. I ain't seen no police, not in how they were moving, not in how they were talking, not in how they were walking, right? When the other guy who got pepper spray, actually the pepper spray itself, got to the scene, he immediately came over and kicked Brother Nichols while he was down. Like, it's I would say it's unbelievable, but it's not. It really is not. And that's the scary, sad part, right? It's very believable if you come from certain communities, and if you really start questioning your dad, your uncles, brothers, cousins, and all that, they got some stories that they don't even tell you about. I got stories I ain't tell my father about. Why? Because I wanted my father around. I call my and I'm just saying, like it's certain stuff I would be terrified to tell certain friends of mine. I don't need you, doing something crazy to police on my behalf. But you know, again, it gets to that question of safety. It gets to that question of another question of, uh, is the color of the officer's skin, does that matter? Um, I watched Reverend Al do a eulogy, and he did make a great point. Is Dr. King died at Memphis fighting for the rights of sanitation workers, which is city employees, essentially fighting for the rights for you to even be on the fire department, be on the police department, for you to even have a black police chief. And this is what you do with the privilege that people literally died to allow you to have, is that you just find ways to further oppress your own folks. And I ain't saying give folks a pass, but I am saying that, like, yeah, people are gonna do some dirty, messed up stuff. And I'm not saying people say some completely foul and crazy stuff to police, but you're still expected to do your job. You expect teachers not to just punch students, and occasionally it happens, right? But when was the last time you heard a teacher beating a student to death? You're still supposed to expect it to be a professional, right? Yep, temper's gonna flare. You're gonna lose your cool, right? Men gonna lose their cool. Women gonna lose their cool. Transgender folk gonna lose their cool, because if you don't say that these days, you get in trouble for that. So people gonna lose their cool, right? And that's not losing your cool and punching the dude in the face while he handcuffed. That is just straight up old fashioned, like, vendetta. Again, I could be mischaracterizing this, but that's what I see. And again, this is not a new history in Memphis. If you look at a case, I think from '71, I had to pull it up. One of the elder attorneys that, like, talks about police in Memphis beating this 17-year-old black boy to death and throwing him in a ditch and trying to pretend like he was in an accident. Right? Everybody quit. So it's a long little, and this is just not local to Memphis. Larry grew up all the way. You came up all the way, got all the way out of Inglewood, out there, LA and stuff, and some of like, we share the same painful stories. Unfortunately, we share that same fear as full educated, knowing your rights and privileges. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole this evening, um, about privileges versus rights, but we know that we're of economic means. We can hire lawyers and stuff, and yet we still feel this almost blood curdling sense of despair if there are police lights behind us, whether we were speeding or not, because we just don't know how this is gonna end. I can be unarmed, I can be armed, I can comply or not comply, right? Does it, I mean, like, in reality, does it matter? Maybe we should be having a conversation about compliance. Does compliance even matter at this point? Should you fight for your life like Brother Nichols? At least he went out fighting. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't no big dude. He on 140, 150 pounds, right? But I'm saying, should you fight for your life? That may be the question we should be asking, right? Because if you're compliant, you still be killed. If you're non-compliant, you can still be killed. So the question is whether I want to go out on my knees with my head down, or whether I want to go out with my head up. To me, I'm more of a head up type person. and well, you know that for folks that don't know me well. I'm just like,
Silverbacks.
yeah, silverback. So I'm just saying, and I don't even think Brother Nichols was a silverback. I think he was just fighting for his life,
Life, yeah.
and and the part I think that disturbs me the most is, again, when you get to the point where a full grown man is calling out for his mother, he is unbelievably hurt. Again, children, when something about black men and their relationships, their mothers, but like, just like George Floyd, when you're hurt to past a certain point, all you got left is thoughts of mama, calling out to mama because you're hurt, right? You're past the point of needing protection. You call out for dad when you need protection. You want dad to be a silverback. And some telling me if his stepdad was there, I would have been on, right? Because he don't seem like the type of person. But when you pass that point of needing protection and you're just hurt and broken and you're calling out to mama, I think that's what probably breaks my heart. And I'm not a sentimental person, and people know I'm not a emotional person. I don't have I score lowest in empathy and sympathy on all these personality tests, so I don't do well empathize. I don't do well with people making excuses. But again, when I hear a full grown man, it ain't got nothing to do with race, but it does, because race matters. To hear a full grown black man hurt to the point where you've lost all of your pride, you've lost, like you're broken down to you're just wanting mama. That's what my 4-year-old son does when he's hurt right now, right? You know what I'm saying? It, that's I think that's the part that that was gut wrenching for me. It wasn't necessarily the beating, because I've seen it happen with my own eyes, right? Perhaps I've been the recipient of, not that degree, but I've been the recipient of violence at the hands of agents of the state, right? But to see on film another black man broken down to the point of calling out for mama, it should move the needle in the hearts and minds of folks. And the fact that it probably won't speaks to some form of sickness and evil that is so pervasive and so interwoven into our culture that I'm just not sure. And what I'm not sure about, I don't even know. But it's something, right? If that doesn't move you as a person to say, damn, it can't be like that. Like, even if I'm the most hardened person, like, even if I'm the most hardened, like, neo-Nazi, whatever, to hear a grown, proud man broken down to the call mama phase,
Man. So I want to shift this to something that I came across a few hours ago. I was surfing social media and I came across a snippet from Mark Lamont Hill. You're familiar with him.
it,
He was at TC when we were there for doing spy years. And in watching this, he was admonishing a particular fraternal order because apparently three of the officers were members of the same fraternity. which is the black
Mm-hmm.
fraternity. And
Go ahead and call the fraternity out.
um, listen, I have no problem because I'm not,
You want me to say it?
religious. I'll make it sci-fi. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I was saying, you want me to say it?
I'll say
Because
it.
I was
I'm
asking
making
because
sci-fi.
you could see the bracelet. You could see the bracelet in the video, and I was like, "Ooh, you
And the
on
funny thing,
video with a Memphis
peeped that.
bracelet?"
I peeped that, and I was like, okay. But then when I found out it was three of them, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. And one of the things that made that becomes bothersome to me is because again, I can only speak from my experience, and that's all I know. I had to ask myself how much of that, of how far it went, had to do with the allegiance that those three men had to each other in that space. You know, because I've been to enough events in college for certain groups, probates and pre-probates, and I've seen things, and I'm like, and it almost felt, seeing that, it's like, you're connecting the dots in my own head. I'm watching this happen. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, beyond them being officers and then being frats and that group think, I'm asking myself how much of that went so far because of a culture that was doubled down in that space, you know, and maybe and because again, it just feels, it felt, I don't know, it just added another layer for me where I was just like, whoa, okay.
All right.
So,
So you want
because
me?
again, but my question was, where was the one person who was going to pull and say, and I'm probably asking a question that's not a very intelligent question for this conversation, as I reflect on the things that I've seen. But I'm just thinking to myself, where was the person who was going to be like, yo, bro, let's chill, 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 chill. There's cameras around. They all had
Mm-hmm.
body cams on, and then not only that, they had to be aware that their own police department had put eyes in the air on all those lampposts, so you had angles from everywhere watching this thing. And I'm asking myself, like, at what point in time did they lose their own sense of self preservation and just went straight animalistic in that space, ignoring the fact that at some point in time, that's the other thing I'm asking myself. At some point in time, I've been in situations where I probably wasn't doing the smartest thing in the world. I've been in my own share of fights. At some point in time, somebody's like, yo, chill, 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 chill. Let's be out. Oh, yo, back. He's had enough.
Yeah, yeah,
That didn't
yeah.
happen. So I'm like, is it the allegiance to each other because we're frats? Is it because we are police officers, or we're from the same hood? Like, at what point in time? But again, I'm asking. Because it's funny now because this just created something very real for me. And often I speak about my son. As a father yourself of a boy as well, I'm always asking myself, like, how do I prepare him to be in the possibility of being in a situation like this, or is there any preparation at all?
I don't think
Is it
there's
just
any.
is it just a prayer?
It's no preparation. You teach to survive by any means. My thing is, again, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, right? Respect everyone. But if someone puts their hands on you, then send them to the cemetery, is what Brother Malcolm said. Do what you have to do. I got bail money. I don't have hell money. I could sick a team of lawyers. Unfortunately, you come from where I'm from. You also got people in jails, federal prison. Like, we can work out something there. What I can't work out is if you're not here,
Yeah.
right? So, but let me double back on the fraternities and sororities here, because I get in trouble all the time. Because once upon a time I go pledge and do all that. All right, when you have fraternal organizations that themselves move like street gangs, you only celebrate yourselves. You wear your colors, you throw your signs, you go out and get into fights with other folks in colors, and you all stick together and move and run like packs, and you've strayed so far away from the brotherhoods that organizations were founded on, right? And you are pledging total allegiance to back someone up because they're supposed to be a brother, but you're forgetting that organizations have charters, they have expectations and rules that govern you and how you conduct yourselves. I'm waiting to find out if any of them cats Masons,
Hmm.
right? Because there are rules, there are expectations for how you conduct yourself. And of course, you're supposed to back a brother up, but then you also, and backing a brother up, you're supposed to make sure that they're not getting themselves into a further situation or a further hole, right? So, when you have organizations that you can't distinguish from the Bloods, when you have chapters of Kappas that wear red and Bloods and traveling vice lords that wear red, and you can't distinguish them if they're, what, because you have a college degree, you're less capable of grotesque violence against others and your own community. You got to be kidding me. If that's what you believe. So I'm people, organizations need to look at their role in pack cultures, right? And if you can't distinguish your chapter, right? If you're not engaging in blood drives, and like I would say, like, I'm not gonna name my, so I'm in a Masonic lodge, right? A lodge do giveaways, 40 bikes at Christmas, do cook whole Thanksgiving meals and bring it to family, the whole meal. Christmas time, bring Christmas to families, not just the meal, all the gifts. Make sure that boys for prom can get decked out and got haircuts and looking good. Scholarships are given away to local. Like, we don't. I remember the time when somebody asked, somebody got wind that we were going to drop off this young lady who, I think she worked at Burger King, but she was going to community college, mother of three, had gotten back into school, doing good. Like, we was taking us some scholarship money, right? And we didn't. This ain't money that just, like, we just was in the lodge and in a meeting. This came up, and we raised $2,200 before the end of the night just amongst us, right out the pocket. Like, nah, we're gonna take this money up there to this woman who trying her best just to bless her. Somebody got caught wind of this, right? That we were gonna do so and send a news camera. We don't want no news camera to be up in no break. Like, this ain't a news story. This is just what we do. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to care for widows and orphans. Like, but a lot of organizations have gotten very, very far from what they're supposed to be doing. People join organizations so I can be cool, I can be a part of the pack, and I can't stand on my own. Now, me as a full grown silverback, I've always stood on my, like I didn't become amazing much later on in life. But I'm saying people feel like they can't stand on their own. I have to have a pack, right? Again, that video showed very much a pack mentality. And yeah, if you are a member of Omega Sci-Fi, one of y'all was supposed to. He had enough. Yeah, y'all were gonna be in trouble either way, possibly. But, like, no one spoke to better sense, humanity, anything. They just was a pack of thirsty wolves and in for the kill. They gave him a pumpkin head. I'm telling you, they gave him a pumpkin head, right? And anybody listening that know what I'm talking about, if you from Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, Memphis, you from that midsection of the country, and that, like, you know what a pumpkin head is. They gave him a pumpkin head, and he died. Right? So, yeah, I do wonder what the roles of fraternal organizations are in fostering and pushing along this pack mentality and not teaching brothers to be responsible for other brothers and make sure. Man, I know it sometimes when I was about to go off deep end, you peel me back. I know. Hold on, when we were at hold on, when we left at the award show that time, and Hope said something to you. That's when you had that clean, fresh white hat. What was it? It wasn't. Was it a Bailey's?
Oh man.
It was a
Yeah, it
clean. It
was.
was.
It was. It
I
was. It
think it
was.
was
It
a
was.
clean white Bailey's. You had took out
Yeah.
a box. He was like, "Yep, yeah," because we was all white and man, I don't know what he said disrespectful, but yeah, you turned straight back and you were like, hold on, check this out, homie. Like you went to Inglewood. I'm like, big homie. I said, big homie.
Oh
I
my
said,
goodness.
cool out, bro. You looked at me like, yeah, but he violated you. I'm like, cool out, bro. You like, you right. It's not even worth it. But if you ain't got nobody that's got sense enough to say cool out, that it ain't worth it in this instance. Now there are instances where you gotta defend yourself for something happens again, where it just is what it is, right?
Yeah, you
But
gotta have the scales. You have to have those scales. Somebody has to be able to pull you back down, and be like, "Yo, chill," and give you time to reconsider what you're about to do.
them dudes was on camera, they just didn't care.
Yeah,
They didn't care. At least when I was coming up, most stuff I almost say so wasn't on camera. I mean, you know how rare it was for them to actually catch that Rodney Kings on camera. Like stuff just wasn't on camera, but these dudes on camera knew they was on camera,
yeah.
didn't care. Why? Because we do this all the time. Shame on him for dying.
And that's
That's
what,
why they
and honestly, and you're right about that. That's what it came down to. Because again, if he hadn't passed away, if he hadn't died, we probably would be having this conversation right now. You know, because because again, I have distinct memories of friends of mine in high school. A friend of mine in high school came to school. All of this was gone. All this was gone. What happened? He took a baton to the face.
yeah.
And you're looking at him like, okay, what's going to happen? He just had to go get some new teeth. It was that simple. I mean, that was just the reality of it. So now, because did you get hit in the face or did you fall? It's one of those. But now, to think that even with body cams and all of that, they didn't give two Fs. Period. It was
Yeah.
just like,
Again,
because yeah,
I know some dudes that don't care about no cameras. They don't care if the police standing there. It's going down. They don't care about no cameras. I don't see no difference between those dudes and the dudes you saw killing Tyre Nichols. They
yeah.
ain't care that no camera was on there. They stood it, man. They kicked this man head like a pinion. They took his
But I do
baton
have a
out and
question
put
though.
him up.
You made a great point. If he hadn't died, would we be talking about this right now? And because he
Absolutely not.
died, exactly. So my thing was, is it that they didn't care the cameras were on because they just didn't care, or is it there's a system in place where they knew that we could whoop his ass and he's gonna be jacked up, but we're protected. But what happened was
So,
because he died, it triggered. Now it has to be investigated.
yep.
And
So what? I mean, you tell me whether there's a formal system or an informal system
informal system, like
is. But to me, it's a moot point, right? Because the overall system and culture here in this country says,
yeah,
and and not many things I'm an expert on, but I'm an expert on being a black dude in this culture because I done seen the worst of it and experienced some of the best of it, and everything in between is you are You and your black male life is not valued. No one will care. What do you say? Either they don't know, they don't show, or they don't care
You don't care.
what's going on in the hood, right? They not gonna care. I am guilty, and I had to slap myself now for saying this, trying to scare my young boys in school. Y'all can go out there. Y'all don't try it all y'all way. Try it my way. Oh, you don't want to try it my way, right? Trying to get them to do the right thing. I said, listen, you go out there and mess around and get murdered. Man, these folks, you might not even make the evening news. Your name might not even make the paper. These folks don't care about you. Nah, I shouldn't have said that to them, but it wasn't no lie.
Don't lie. No.
I mean, it's the truth. You might not even make the evening paper. You a news story for a day, maybe. Don't let it be like black on black, right? I'm saying like they don't like the culture says that your life is not as valuable as the lives of others, right? And it never has been as valuable as the lives of others, right? Uh, and that's the ball game, folks. Whether police departments have a formal, and some of them I believe do have a formal way of protecting officers through union stuff, this way you can't fire for, and or informal systems that we take care of each other, like that's moot. Dudes, even black dudes on the street that's doing bad things, bad actors know I can get away with it, and you know this. I can get away with it so long as it's black. Don't kill no white dude. Don't kill no white lady. In Memphis, the rich white teacher that was kidnapped and killed with the national headline last summer, it's because she was white. I'm just being honest. You know how many black girls are missing? There's a whole website about black girls missing. But lies are not valued. Comedians joke about it. What comedian? I forget which comedian said, don't let your wife go missing somewhere. They gonna go to the edge of the beat. Natalie Holloway, whoever that girl that went missing down there in Trinidad, wherever she went missing, Bahamas or something, Cayman Island. They were searching for her for turned into an international incident, searching for her forever. But your wife go missing. They might go to the edge of the beach and look.
Yeah.
John Benet Ramsey is still specials on TV about who
Till
killed
this
her.
day. Till this day.
Right? I'm saying we're talking about a value and of life. So when you know as an officer that if I do this, yeah, so long as the cat don't die, I cover it up. And if he die, I probably get off. My union gonna have my back. They gonna do everything they can to try and make make me seem like the biggest criminal on the planet. Find any that. I mean, it's just that is the culture. Criminalization cocoa skin, black skin. It just gets all the way down to the monkey grip on the purse, and all you see is this person that they don't that your life doesn't matter as much as mine. Makes me sad to think about that. It troubles me, and it makes me, say again that um, I don't know. I worry about, am I actually helping to build a better place, a better time, and a better people, or am I just driving myself crazy trying to change a machine that has never functioned for people with dark skin? And here we are in 2023, and somebody wrote in a comment, worse off than 1960. Statistically speaking, they're right.
Yeah.
Every statistical measure says that we're worse off than 1960. You know what I'm saying? So what are we talking about here? And we're in 2023. It's 10:01, brother.
Yeah, it is 10:01. This is one of those times where I just feel like we just have to leave this at that for now. And
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's processing here. You know, my brain is on fire right now because man, it's just a lot. I want to thank you if for those of you who rode with us through this whole entire episode. Those of you who are watching the replay of this, again, the point here is to engage in conversation. That's not just talk, but also maybe a little bit of therapy as well, because a lot of the things that we're talking about here are things that need to be said. To sometimes they're uncomfortable saying, and I'll admit to it. There's some things that I struggle to say because I feel like if I unleash, I'm not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle, you know,
And
and it's hard.
I'm gonna get fired.
But you know the funny thing about that is that is one thing, but it's also a thing of just when you let out the bottle, how much of it is in the bottle? That's the scary part.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. I don't know the depths of my frustration. I've been eating for so long. I haven't been able to breathe for so long that I'm almost afraid to. It's maddening. Let me say this before we. I know we gotta go.
no, go ahead.
Maybe this is literally maddening. The number of just sheer microaggressions and macroaggressions that you have to deal with just doing regular normal stuff, right? Going to buy ice cream, right? We read accounts about how black people back in the day, when you hear Maya Angelou talking about how in Stamps, Arkansas, they couldn't buy vanilla ice cream, right? Strangely enough, vanilla originally is from East Africa, Madagascar, and all that stuff. But we couldn't even buy vanilla ice cream, and it was invented anyway. But just doing normal stuff can get just the level of stress that accumulates, the level of stuff that accumulates in that well, that black pit that you drop stuff in just because you're like, nope, I don't have time to deal with that. I got family stuff. Nope, I ain't got time to deal with that. I got school stuff. I got work stuff. Like it's only when you get a chance to sit down and play spades with your people and sit down and drink some and have a cigar in your hand and maybe some of that starts to tease out, but you don't want to ruin the moment because you're just trying to have a good time and forget for a minute. But yeah, you're right. I fear uncapping that well because once you light that oil well on fire, I don't know how long it's gonna burn. But it's some oil that's down in there. that much we do know.
It's funny. I just I just saw a film recently, and I will wrap this up. Something Street. It's with what's the sister's name from 227? She was the daughter, and now she's a producer, director. She was in Boys in the Hood. I can't remember her name, but in this film, there's a scene where these two brothers are having a conversation, and what you just said reminded me because they were exercising their demons about what it felt like to be. It's based in the 70s. I would say it's in the 70s, if not 60s, and I believe they're in Harlem, and what it feels like to be a black human being in a space where you can't breathe. You gotta worry about everybody because you're a threat to everybody, and they're a threat to you, just because you exist. And it's a lot. It's a lot, but this conversation is not over. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, at 9 p.m. to continue on with the Ivy League Hood Rats. Thank you so much for being here. My brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much because these conversations is therapy for me because it gives me. I feel a little lighter, even though I feel like I feel like I got lighter and heavier at the same time, you know. But
Yeah. Yeah.
these things are these things are things that they needs to happen, and I'm looking forward to that cigar and that drink real soon. And with that being said, have a good night, everybody. Be well. Um, any final salutes from you, brother Tyson?
Just be safe, be well out there, and I guess either way, we're gonna have a black quarterback win the Super Bowl this year. Hey,
First time in history, right? So we take the bitter with the sweet, you know. So all right, y'all. Be well, be safe, and we'll talk soon. All right, peace.
Leia.